Welcome to Opera Guide. I'm Val, and today we're answering a simple question with a fascinating answer. How long is an opera? If you've never attended an opera before, you may have heard that they're incredibly long. In fact, for some people, the length of an opera is one of the biggest reasons they hesitate to buy a ticket. And to be fair, some operas are long. The first opera I brought my son to was Wagner's Götterdämmerung, which comes in at an eye-watering 4.5 hours. Now, to be fair, he wasn't arriving completely unprepared. Like many children of opera lovers, he had spent years as a passive participant whenever he needed a lift somewhere. If we were in the car, chances were good that opera was playing. I'd already attended the earlier operas in Wagner's Ring cycle, and over time we'd talked about the story together. He knew the characters, understood the plot, and as someone with a keen interest in mythology, he was fascinated by Wagner's gods, heroes, giants, dwarves, dragons, and magical rings. By the time I suggested a trip to Milan to see Götterdämmerung, he was willing to give it a try. I may also have mentioned the risotto alla Milanese and the Duomo and the gelato. To my delight, he loved the opera every bit as much as the food, the city, and the adventure that surrounded it. But most operas are nowhere near 4.5 hours long. Many operas run between 2 and 3 hours, including an intermission. Some are even shorter. In fact, a typical opera is often no longer than a play, a musical, or an evening spent watching a few episodes of your favorite television series. A few operas, particularly Wagner's, are famous for their length, but they are the exception, not the rule. One common misconception is that a long opera must feel long. Not necessarily. When the story, music, and performance capture your attention, time has a way of passing surprisingly quickly. So if you're worried about opera being too long, don't judge the entire art form by Wagner. That's a little like judging all novels by War and Peace. So how long is an opera? Usually somewhere between 2 and 3 hours, occasionally much longer, and sometimes if there's a trip to Milan and a good risotto involved, 4.5 hours can pass surprisingly quickly. I'm Val, your opera guide. Remember, opera is for everyone. If there's an opera question you've always wanted to ask, leave it in the comments below. Thank you for your curiosity, thank you for listening, and thank you for listening so closely.